for the Get to the Point review.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Get to the Point Review podcast. I am your co-host, Kelly McKinney of Hohenheim Productions.
And I'm your other co-host, Josh Gibson from Fourth Wall Players.
And this week, we are joined by a very special guest. This is Luke Lorick from Tailgating Challenge, and he is the foremost expert on everything tailgating. On his channel, you'll find thousands of product reviews, giveaways, and even some tailgating holidays, right, Luke?
Yes, thanks for having me on, first and foremost, gentlemen. Again, Tailgating Challenge, formed it about 10 years ago. We got there's three holidays right now that I and Tailgating Challenge are responsible for. So National Tailgating Day, National Homegating Day, bringing the tailgate party to your house, and the recently celebrated National Yard Games Day, that is the first day of summer.
Okay.
That's right. And I saw you did a video for National Games Day, right? That was I wanted to say it was Foaling. Is that what it was called?
Yeah, Foaling was so I do a top 10 list of the top favorite games, try to do some stuff around each holiday of new stuff as well, too, not just like recycling, because there's some products that are like year in, year out would be up there, but trying to there's so many cool products. And for yard games, there's so many different games that continue to come out, trying to just broaden people's spectrum outside of cornhole and beer pong. Like those are classics, right? But there's other things out there too that people can have a ton of fun with that we get to test out.
Yeah,
no doubt. And it's interesting to me too, because when I hear cornhole, we're both from and here in Indiana.
Yeah.
So instantly I just feel like we invented that, right?
Yeah,
I
right.
just assumed
That's an Indiana thing, right?
Yeah, it's just an Indiana thing. But find out that it's definitely nationwide, all over the place. That's awesome. Very cool. Well, and naturally, with you being the tailgating expert and this being a movie review podcast, today we're talking about our top 5 favorite parties in films.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I had a tough time finding anything tailgating related.
The only thing that jumped to my mind, I didn't use it, was Silver Linings Playbook had a tailgating sequence.
Okay.
And that was about it. I couldn't think. I was in the same boat. I was like, oh, well, I guess we'll expand the definition to parties in general.
Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah, no doubt. Right. Yeah. Did you find ones that were specific to tailgating, or were they just right on the top of your head when we brought it up?
No, it's funny you bring that up, because I was going to use 4 of mine for party scenes, and then my 5th one was going to be the plea. We need more tailgating scenes in movies and having fun with that. There's tons of sports movies, and tailgating goes hand in hand. So why isn't
Especially
there
football.
a little bit more? Yeah, going into some of these games and everything, having a little bit of a tailgate party out there, because it doesn't. I don't know too many of them that are out there with that. It's not something that's big, but millions and millions of people tailgate, and it's a part of tradition for so many football schools and even other sports too, that it's like, why is it not? So there's my plea to everyone listening. Why is there not more tailgating in movies?
I agree. Because if we couldn't think of any between the two of us, I
know it's it's pretty much what we do is watch movies.
Yeah.
And that I was like, my brain kept going back to the movie Invincible. And then when I looked it up, there's just it's just B-roll.
Right. Yeah,
it's not B-roll even of some tailgating going on.
It's not even a thing.
On the way.
Or maybe Friday Night Lights, but I don't even remember if that was the players or the fans, honestly.
Right. Yeah. Then it's my brain goes to The Replacements too. And
yeah.
I'm but I don't remember any
there's
party
no
scenes.
there's
there.
no parties in that, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Great movie. I will use it on a list one of these days.
I know, right? Yeah, it'll get there eventually. Nice. Well, Luke, do you want to kick us off with your first pick on your favorite party scenes from movies?
I am. I'm going to pull this one. This is it has just a little bit of the tailgating flair, and maybe it's kind of a reach for it to be a party scene, but it's something that's resonated with me. One of my favorite movies of all time is The Program. I don't know if you all have watched The Program football movie.
Yeah,
I have not. But
so yeah, one of the reasons why it's a movie that's special to me is because I went to the University of South Carolina, and they actually filmed it in Williams-Brice Stadium. Oh. And so that's where I got my passion for tailgating and came up with that. And so I was too young at the time to experience it, to be there. But what they did was, at halftime of one of the games, they used the people in the stadium. They told them that we're going to have an extended halftime. We're going to shoot the movie out here during it was either halftime or the end of the game. Wow. And people could stay and be in the movie. So it was it kind of was all the tailgaters in there that were then kind of I guess partying like as part of the movie set. So a little bit of a reach, but a special movie to me just because it's an awesome movie and how they actually filmed it at the University of South Carolina.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then another thing about the program, I don't know if maybe you know this or if you look like you hadn't heard of
I've not heard of it. No.
The program. I know that it was really controversial because of some of the pranks in the movie, right? They've got the one where they're like laying on the, spoiler alert, right? Laying on the highway with the cars going by, right? That's the program, right? That's in that movie.
I think so. I'm trying to. It's been a few years since I've watched it for some of the ins and outs for it, but yeah, it was. I need to rewatch it after we're talking about this. I'm going to put it on my on my list to go watch again.
Yeah, that's a good one because that's a I mean, it's a drama, man. It's an intense movie. It's a fun. That's a really good one. That's an awesome pick. A great way to start us off. It's like, yeah, party movie. We're gonna go with a drama, but but tailgating, yes. Nice. Okay, cool. What about you, Josh? What about your next one?
So I did not go with a drama for my first party movie, and it isn't as much of a reach as yours. Van Wilder from 2002. The movie that finally got the world to notice Canadian treasure Ryan Reynolds. I wrote this in cursive, so I can't read it very well. We follow Van, a career collegiate failure who uses his skill set to actually throw multiple outrageous parties. This movie has one of my favorite philosophies in it. Don't take life too seriously. You'll never get out alive.
Oh yeah. What's interesting about that is that because it's such a college,
I know,
movie or whatever. I had it on my list and crossed it out.
Yeah.
So
it
didn't make it. I wondered how much overlap we're gonna have here. That's why I messaged you last night about Marvel.
Yeah.
I was worried about that.
I thought about it. I did. I really was like, I really went into it thinking I was gonna have that on my list, but I didn't.
I think because this is just my the power of boners working. I didn't remember that there was a great quote from the movie. I just remember
because you're watching Tara.
I just remember Tara Reid mentioned not wearing panties in the movie, and that's all I can think of.
That's all you remember.
That's all I remember from the movie is that Tara Reid said she wasn't wearing panties, and I was like, that's a great piece of information.
I remember they tried to make her seem smart, and I didn't buy it.
I do remember that too. They did. They tried to make her seem very smart, and I just didn't buy it. Nice. That's a good pick, and it's funny because I almost put it on there. Well, with my list over here, I ended up going with especially because I couldn't come up with like specific tailgating examples. I went with parties that I would have liked to attend.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Right. So,
okay.
So not just great party scenes, but parties that like for me as a party, which my definition of a party is way different than what I feel most people's is.
Right.
Mine is sitting around.
I'm not the kegger type.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm more of like sitting around, talking, smoking, listening to music, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess I'll just start at the top of the list here. For me, I put Hustle and Flow. So we'll go ahead and put another drama on the list here. Hustle and Flow from 2005, and I put it's the quintessential pull myself up from my bootstraps and it's never too late movie of the 2000s that sets a precedent for Ludacris getting hit in the face. It's just one of the first times in his career that Terrence Howard has hit him in the face, and it's really a beautiful thing. We love both of those actors, but it's pretty funny to have that continuously happening in all of the 2000s movies.
Right.
And so for me, when it comes to the party in this, there's a number of times that they kind of party. But after they've made their first successful track, DJ Qualls is there and he's smoking and they're getting high. That was cool. That seemed like the sort of house parties I'd had growing up. And then, of course, they go to the skating rink. And they're hanging out in the park. They're essentially tailgating at the skating rink, which is a very real thing that happens both at Cascade in Atlanta, Georgia, as well as at Skateland. In the summer and fall, before and after skating, people are hanging out in the parking lot and chilling afterwards. So the fact that I could relate to that just whole situation was like, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'd have loved to have been there. It's a skating rink.
Right.
So that one was a pretty easy pick for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say. And Luke, what about your number 2 pick?
Hustle and Flow is I actually still have that movie on DVD. I don't have a ton of movies on DVD. That is one that I have, so I can respect and appreciate that one for sure. Next one I have on here is probably one that this is like a no duh one. At least the first one that came to my mind was Old School. right? And then when they're having the party scene, and he's like, "We're just gonna streak the quads. Who's
Yeah.
coming with me?" It's like that's just like one of the I use that line all the time. Who's coming with me?
Yeah.
With everything. So that's just like that'd be a party that would be really fun to go to hang out with Snoop and Will Ferrell and everything too.
I looked at that and I was like, I remembered it being a really, really great party scene
Mhm.
because we love the characters, like love Frank the Tank and is Paul Rudd in that one?
No, I don't
No.
know. Maybe I don't think so. It's Will Ferrell and Luke Wilson.
Luke Wilson. That's who I was thinking of. That's who I was picturing when I
Okay.
thought of Paul Rudd. At the, I've got I've got other movies on my list.
I got you.
That are confusing me. But yeah, so that's definitely a good one. That one almost made my list too. It was just one of those ones where it's like, okay, college fraternity party, and
Right.
that just wasn't. It's just not my. It wasn't my thing.
I was gonna go with a lot of them, and then I was like, I'll just keep with one that's like that, and then try to.
I mean, what's funny now is that at 33 years old, nowadays I could see myself going to a sorority or fraternity party or whatever, just for the simple fact that I enjoy drinking a lot more now than I did when I first turned 21. Like,
Interesting.
yeah,
I guess technically me too, since I hadn't started drinking yet.
I know, right? Yeah, I know.
So technically,
we're weirdos.
I'm still not a big drinker, but yeah.
We're weirdos like that. Nice.
I mean, I'll weigh in. I didn't start drinking until I was 22, so that
Right.
kind of gets
See?
on board with some of this as well.
There we
so
go.
I can,
Yeah.
I'm on board with what you're sharing right now too, because definitely enjoy some more beer and like craft beer and everything now versus earlier in life.
Yeah, no, big time. Like,
Yeah.
and I remember. I mean, part of this is probably a broken childhood. When I was like 7 or 8 or whatever, we're at a campgrounds, and my mom's girlfriend at the time, Kelly, who I called Dad, hands me a Budweiser and is like, "Here, try that." And I tried it, and it was the most disgusting thing I'd ever tasted. So it put a sour taste in my mouth for beer way early in life.
That's interesting because I was around like my dad, who was in a band. It took me to a lot of his concerts and stuff. A lot of them were in bars, so I was around beer a lot too.
Yeah,
and it was just kind of something that, I don't think it was ever. I don't remember it ever being openly offered to me, but it was never something that I was interested in, just because I didn't like the smell and
Yeah, well, there's that scene in the movie Chef, which we've talked about a number of times. Have you seen the movie Chef, Luke?
I don't know if I'm familiar with that one.
It's Jon Favreau, and it's basically an indie movie that he did in between Marvel movies to kind of regain his passion for filmmaking.
Project.
Yeah, as a passion project of his. And in that, he has a son. In that movie, he has a son, and he hands him a beer after they've been like working all day.
Mhm.
And he tries it and is like, "Oh, it's the most disgusting thing." And I was like, "Yes, like to me, that's still good fathering. You didn't get your kid drunk. You let him try beer so that he never wants to try it again.
Right.
And you avoid a lot of situations that other teens might have put themselves in the teen,
Right, because I do
era.
feel like, at least for me, a lot of like sensations, taste and smell wise, stuck with me for a lot of years. Like
Yeah. I only just now started liking onions.
yeah, I threw up. Like I ate too many raisins when I was like 5, and then threw up, and I didn't eat raisins again until like 3 years ago.
Yeah,
And it's just
taste
like,
aversion.
But yeah, because it just I every time I smelled them, I thought about that awful experience.
I had a similar thing going on when I was like 12. We used to have this place. I mean, you're familiar with Jack's Pizza in Kokomo. I'm sure every town has a Jack's Pizza. I don't think it's a chain though.
Yeah,
there's
it's
no
just
way.
Jack is such a common name.
It's just Jack. It's such a common name. Everybody named Jack makes pizza at some point, and we used to eat it like all the time. And one time it had made me sick. It had given me food poisoning, and I'd never ate Jack's Pizza ever again.
Right.
Ever. It was so weird. Yeah, I mean, but another form of taste aversion. That was based on what? Oh, what?
If you'll notice, Luke, sometimes we ramble.
Yeah. We'll get off topic.
We get a little off topic, so just bear with us, and
with us.
we'll get
it.
back on. Okay.
Nice. Okay, so that was after Van Wilder. Is me now?
No. He just did Old School.
He did Old School. Yes, in Old
So
School.
it's
with
now
Frank
my
Tank.
turn,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
It's
So my next
blended
one,
in
I
my
guess,
brain.
is probably the other one that's. I guess they're all kind of close. Anyway, so my next one is Can't Hardly Wait from 1998. Story of the nerdy nice guy trying to get the popular girl he's been attracted to forever out. Trying to ask her out after graduation party, awkwardness and terrible Oh my gosh. Awkwardness and terrible timing aside, my writing is atrocious on this. All right. Awkward.
Oh boy.
Professional. Okay. Awkwardness and terrible timing aside, this film was filled with future stars. Too bad Ethan Embry didn't happen to be one of them.
Yeah, that's I Can't Hardly Wait was another one that had crossed my mind, but again was one of those ones where I was like, I wasn't
I went with it ultimately because I knew we would never put it on any other list.
on another list. Yeah,
Like-
yeah. I can see that.
And I still have that dang song stuck in my head.
Well, while we're still in this like sort of college era thing, I guess
Mhm.
my next pick would be Superbad from 2007. And for that, I said this movie helped me decide that I never wanted to attend college house parties. And also, it reminded me heavily of my middle school best friend, Charlie Ike. So the Jonah Hill's character in this, holy crap. Like I could have swore a writer just followed around 13-year-old Charlie Ike and wrote down everything he would say.
So Charlie drew
He-
a lot of penises.
and it wasn't so much that he drew penises. It was the way he talked.
Oh,
It was
okay.
the way he talked all
That
the
Jonah
time.
Hill like cadence. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like, I mean, yeah, and not that we're going to be, editing this out. So forgive my French beforehand, but like, there's a line where he's like, you need to fuck her in her fucking pussy or something. And that's
Yeah.
the sort of shit that Charlie would say at
Right.
13. And it was so out of the blue with the way that me and the rest of my friends talked, because we're all a bunch of like Dragon Ball Z
really?
geeks.
Oh,
Yeah, we're all a bunch of Dragon Ball Z geeks. And he would just be like a sailor, a crazy
we did
sailor.
both.
And said the most insane things. I mean, I still cuss. It
No,
was
I
just,
got you. No, we were the
like to it's sort of an art form in the Superbad movie, the way that Jonah Hill puts the F word in like 7 different times
Mhm.
in one sentence, where there were really only like 4 articles in the
Right.
sentence.
Right, yeah.
But he still managed to put out like 5 different versions of the word fuck.
an
So-
alliterative genius
Yeah.
is what the term would be.
Well, and so specifically though, it's funny that this movie helped me decide I didn't want to do college
Mhm.
like kegger type parties, because it's that party that's that I remember every time.
Yeah.
I can't help, every time I hear These Eyes, I picture Michael Cera nervously singing These Eyes in front of a bunch of coked out college students, and it's hilarious every
That is
single
funny.
time. So I could not get past
Mhm.
how much that scene stuck with me as far as party scenes.
Right. It's
are.
weird, the sort of things that stick with you.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't really think, and if you're making movies too, you don't know what parts are gonna be popular to the viewers, or you know what I'm saying. Like
Yeah. Yep.
it's just kind of weird sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. It was interesting hearing people's opinions on Danville.
Yeah.
Because when I wrote it, it was sort of my love letter to both classic literature
Mhm.
as well as to zombie movies and psychological thrillers.
Right.
And like only when I first wrote the movie did I hear compliments about the dialogue as far as like the subject matter.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like, oh man, I love how they're talking about classic literature.
Right.
Now it's just about the blood and guts.
Right.
Everyone's like,
Yeah.
that was so cool. He comes up and his hands are covered in blood. So that was very interesting. So yeah, so Superbad would be my second pick
Sweet.
for that one. And Luke, that brings us right back around to you.
Yeah, Superbad was on my list. Same reasons for it too. And then just the part where they're dancing and leaves certain stains on his clothing. It's just like it's just a crazy party, and all the stuff just getting up to that party as well is what made the party even better. Just like them trying to get the booze and alcohol and all the shenanigans that happened going into that. So I'll pivot over for a different one then, since that one replaced. So Euro Trip. I don't know if you've seen Euro Trip. I mean,
I was
that's just
thinking about that too. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Again, kind of a silly movie, but I just remember that the absinthe in there. It made me. I was like, oh my gosh, one day I want to go try absinthe too. And I found some in America, but it doesn't have the same stuff
No.
in
No.
there. Is that Thajone? I believe it's if I'm saying that correctly. That causes seeing some of those magical
Right.
things that they may have seen in the movie. So just had a bad hangover and nothing else from that. But that's a side note for me. But Euro Trip would be another one that just was a fun kind of party
Mhm.
style movie.
When Euro Trip is a good one. When I was last night I was trying to figure out what my last pick was going to be, and I had 3 different movies that I was examining: Euro Trip,
Mm-hmm.
Road Trip,
Yeah.
and then Sideways were the 3 that I was
Sideways.
examining. Yeah, because two of those movies are a lot alike.
Why
Euro
did you
Trip
say
and Road
that?
Trip,
The first thing that came to
and
my
then
mind
Sideways.
was the part where Sideways, with the part where the jealous husband or whatever comes running out to the car,
out and the
and
dick
his
is
thing
all
is
over
just like
the
flapping on the car windows, like,
dick's
oh
flopping
my
all over the place.
God.
It's pretty funny. Well, and what's funny is that because it's such a small part, we don't I mean, some of us don't recognize that's the guy from
MC Gaining.
Yeah, yes, MC. Yes, yeah, exactly. He's
I
he's
recognized.
he's a very prominent actor.
That
And
sounded
that
weird. I
was
meant like I know
Oh,
MC Gaining.
Oh, I bet you did, Josh. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah. Start with the with the porn music there. Oh yeah, that's awesome that you chose Euro Trip, because I
Yeah.
was, for me, between Euro Trip and Road Trip, like they're somewhat the same movie,
Yeah.
but with different characters and in different locations.
Right.
So like with Road Trip, I was looking at when they visit the black fraternity.
Right.
When DJ Qualls
Yeah.
sleeps with the big woman. And it was like, yes, nice. And then Euro Trip, yes, the absinthe scene, that was the first thing that came to mind.
In Euro Trip, I always think of him being like, "This isn't where I parked my car." You don't remember that? Like every time he
No.
got into like a situation that was like, he like I don't know, stumbled in upon some shit
It was
that
a
he wasn't
recurring
supposed to see.
joke in
Yeah,
the-
it was a
okay.
recurring joke. Because he goes, "This isn't where I parked my car."
Oh man, yeah. So, when
I
ended
used
up-
that for years after that.
I was watching Euro Trip and Road Trip. And
Yeah.
last night, what I remember the most was Road Trip. I
Yeah.
was like, oh man,
A
you know,
Road Trip's
'cause
definitely a better movie.
it's a good one. It's a good. But they both have killer party scenes.
True.
They both have killer
True.
party scenes.
And Scotty doesn't know. That's the other bit from Euro
Scotty
Trip.
doesn't know is so perfect.
Matt Damon is the king of cameos. I
He
don't care
is
what
the
anyone
king
says.
of cameos. He'll show up and kill a scene. Oh man.
That was a great song too that I'm singing in my head now that you said it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's so catchy. Like you just hear it, you're like, Scotty doesn't know. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I ended up like re-YouTubing that song after the movie last night. I was like, I just gotta watch it again.
It's a good song.
Yeah,
I don't know why it's so good, but it is.
It is. It's really funny. Nice.
All right. So I guess it's my turn.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is. I kept track this time.
No, you're fine. All right. So my next one is going to be Clue from 1985. Not the type of party we've been traditionally speaking about, but a dinner party nonetheless. The greatest dinner party mystery movie based on a children's game. The events start off with a seemingly harmless dinner party to extort the guest until the extortionist gets murdered. So everybody, we've mentioned Clue on this before.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot more to do as far as explaining it, and I'm pretty sure everyone that's listens to our podcast is familiar with Clue.
Yeah.
I just like to use any excuse I can to bring it up because I just think it was such a fantastic movie that had no reason to be fantastic, but somehow it was perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish I had an explanation for it.
No, that's a good one. No, and I mean, other than the whole murder thing, it's a great dinner party. Very nice house. Very Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Very Tim Curry, which we all love.
Well, let's see. I'll take us back as far as I can on my list. It always
that's my oldest.
It's always astonishing to me how many movies I pick that are just in the 2000s.
Right.
Holy crap, man.
Well,
Why?
I mean, that's probably when we were mostly exposed to a variety of film, right? Before
I
we
guess
really, you and I, before we like settled on like what our preferred genre was, and,
right. Well, I also think it has to do with the mobility of us becoming teenagers.
Right.
And then, it's like, oh, we've got a sort of newfound freedom. We can go all over town. And once they had the Dollar Theater at the Markland Mall, it was like, yeah, you could see anything you wanted.
Should have taken that job.
Should have taken.
Although I would have been out of a job a year later because it didn't last very long.
No, it did. Yeah, it went away, which was a shame. Okay, so as far back as I can go on my list is Almost Famous from the year 2000. That's on your list, isn't it? Is that why you're
No.
And the way I summarize this movie is I just said, is this movie about Kansas? Because it kind of feels like it's about Kansas.
Yeah.
And naturally, the party scene that we're talking about is the "I'm a Golden God" scene. Yes,
Yes.
that eventually turns into the song where
Tiny
they're singing
Dancer.
"Tiny Dancer" together. Yeah, it
My
is.
entire thing is about that.
Yeah,
so.
of course it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So there we go. I don't have to do my next one.
No, you can. I mean, seeing as how all I said was, is this movie about Kansas and listed the scene, I think you should go ahead and give your to the point
okay.
on Almost Famous.
All right.
Go
Right
ahead.
now?
Yeah, right now.
Okay, yeah. So my get to the point review on Almost Famous is not sure too many people my age group don't remember the jumping from the rooftop into the pool scene. Also gave Tiny Dancer a second breath of life. You're welcome, Elton.
Okay.
So literally, it was the two things you just mentioned.
We will edit this part out and around. It says that the recording is going to end in 10 minutes remaining meeting time. I guess they've put a cap on meetings now. What
yeah,
we'll
they
do is-
temporarily took it off, but there's a cap unless you pay.
Okay, well then when this stops, we'll relaunch the meeting and continue to record wherever we leave off. Then I didn't know they were going to do that to us.
All right.
Darn you, Zoom. Anyway, okay, yeah. So Almost Famous. That definitely took one off there for me, and it's how dramatic the scene is. I mean, like, because if ever there was something for a retiring rock star to do, it's to inspire youth. And
Yeah.
like in that scene, he's talking to them like, "You're important, man. You're awesome." And it's like, as stupid as someone that wasn't drunk might have seen that moment as being, like, that kid will remember that forever.
Right.
I mean, in the story sense.
In the story, right?
In the story sense. I mean, naturally, that who knows if
Well,
that
and he's
actor even
also-
acts anymore, but
Right. And yeah, he's like the only one that didn't get famous from that film. But
yeah.
isn't it weird when it happens like that? Like a successful film, like everyone gets famous except the main character. It's probably because they just get typecast as.
It's weird. I feel like the same thing happened in Road Trip. Tom Green's huge. Even the
for like 3 minutes, yeah.
yeah, DJ Qualls went on to
Sean
bigger
William
things.
Scott.
Sean William Scott. Yeah, I mean, everybody
Was
except for
Breckin
him.
Meyer the main character?
I don't know what his name was. Guy with the funny nose. I don't know. DJ Qualls has a funny nose.
No, I
too.
was say, doesn't DJ Qualls, is it that the guy with the funny nose?
I don't know. I literally recognize him just from Road Trip. It's kind of weird.
Because if it's Breckin Meyer, he was a pretty big star before Road Trip. That's
Yeah.
probably why.
Well, this would bring us to the next one on Luke's list.
Yep. It is Breckin Meyer.
All right, so next one on my list, I was just thinking of one because I was like, I got to replace something over here with Superbad, and so I should have had some backups ready to go. But
Yeah.
Beer Fest
Big-
movie
God,
with
I
the
love
with the
it.
drinking and like at the end where they're basically, it's like a party, but it's a competition at the same time.
So great.
For it, so I just remember just like I was like, man, this is not that I want to drink that much beer, but it was fun to watch and enjoy some laughs with the party competition scenes.
He was a fat asshole, but he was my fat asshole.
He was my fat asshole. See, I've only seen that movie once.
Same.
You know, and
But for some reason.
like for whatever reason, my brain categorized it with all of the ski lodge movies from the 90s.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like
I know
like,
exactly
I
what you're
couldn't- I
saying.
couldn't separate
with
it from,
Zach
all of those
Galifianakis.
different- yeah, like all of that stuff. So and I think when I was doing research, that Beer Fest kept coming up.
Yeah.
In like every list that I had seen, Beer Fest came up. And I guess because it's the beer pong scene, right? That everyone enjoys the most. Is that?
There's
I
beer
assume.
pong.
I
and
don't even
there's-
really. I mean, there's a lot to enjoy in the movie. I don't particularly remember the beer pong scene
Okay.
because it came out in theaters when I worked at the movie theater, so I just
Gotcha.
watched it. You know.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I only watched it that once or twice. So, I just remember that like the guy like trying to drink himself out of the giant tank of beer and like drowning in the middle of it. But
Oh,
you know,
gosh.
things like that, or like, you know, when the one got drunk and took home the hot girl that ended up being what's that actress's name?
I'll have to rewatch it.
You'll have to rewatch it. Is it Monique? Maybe I don't remember, but
And so you said you said the beer pong scene and what else?
The beer pong scene, and then the boot, the Das boot, where
The
they
Das
have to
boot.
drink the
Yeah.
2 liters of beer out of that glass boot. Are the 2 things that have jumped out the most when they're in these competition modes. I'm just like, so much beer, so
and they had
much
to figure
beer
out
drink.
like a scientific way to make it so that when it went around the curve, it didn't like
Right.
give that bubble like that made them spit it up or whatever. Like it was so good.
That's a training, right? Training for
Yeah,
these drinking
It
games.
was a training montage. Yeah.
Training montage. Oh yeah. Every great movie has a training montage. Nice. Okay, cool. All right, Josh.
All right, my last one, get to the point review is Scream. Huh?
Oh boy, how do I have 2?
Because you probably should have gone because when you went for Almost Famous, I had it too.
Yes.
You want to do yours first?
I guess so. Yeah. So we'll
do
go
yours
to the
first,
order.
yeah.
All right. Then we'll go ahead and we'll jump into Age of Ultron.
Okay.
Age of Ultron would be my number 4 pick
I just watched that last night.
from 2015. Yeah, and so I didn't even summarize the movie. It's a Marvel movie. It's also one of the more popular ones. So I didn't summarize the movie. I just said check out Nando V Movies.
Mhm.
He has a scene breakdown specifically about that party scene, and he breaks it down brilliantly.
Such a great scene.
It really is. You watch the scene and you know it feels good. Nando is going to tell you why it feels good.
Right.
And it's basically because you feel like you are attending the party. You feel like you are just a fly on the wall, and you're getting to know everybody.
Yeah, exactly. It was such a great character building scene, and they did it seemed very subtle and simple, but it built so much.
It's great. It's
And they
like
even
3.5 minutes, and you feel so connected to the characters.
And at the time, it almost like at the time when you're watching it, if you're watching it for the first time, and if you're somebody who's highly critical, you could be like, well, what's the point of this? This is really stupid and wasteful. But it's not. They even have the callback to it, the payoff at the end of the movie.
I mean but at the same time, I think we've talked about it, and so has everybody else with Marvel versus DC. That's what sets Marvel movies apart from DC.
Is that they have personalities?
They have personalities, and there's character growth, and like we have more to explore with these characters than just what they can do in their costumes. And that was what made that scene so great, is that they all are different. They are all different people, and in their lines show how they are different.
And none of them wear hockey pads.
And none of them wear hockey.
I don't wear hockey pads.
This is true. So there we go. For my number 4 was Age of Ultron. Then
great.
There we go. Okay, which would bring us right back around to Luke.
All right, so this last one, this is more of a, I don't want to say it's a stretch, but it's a TV show. And the reason I put it on the list too is because I feel like they need to make a movie about it. If they haven't already got it in the works, they should. One of my favorite shows of all time was Sons of Anarchy, the motorcycle show. And so like some of their, I guess, party scenes. I remember there was one and they're in the clubhouse, just like all the guys hanging out. They got the ladies with them, and they're out there just like boxing, drinking beer, and then they just straight fight each other for fun. And I'm like, not that I want to do that either at my age, but I was like, it's just really fun to watch, and that was just one of my favorite shows. So
the point is, I mean, I guess the point is they're all pretty dysfunctional too, right? Like, so no sane person would want to do what any of those guys.
No, not at all. But hopefully, like I said, hopefully there'll be a movie one day. I'd love to see a Sons of Anarchy movie out there to watch. But for now, just wanted to throw that in there for something that I enjoyed and the plug to make that movie happen.
Right, there you go. Well, and Kurt Sutter, I think they went ahead and they did a spin-off series called The Mayans.
Yeah, it's still going. It's like 4 seasons on or something.
Okay, cool.
I just watched the season finale this morning, so for the most recent season. So
I haven't gotten around to watching it on my list yet, but I'll get there.
Mayans is on my list. It is on my list. And what would be interesting to do for a movie for Sons of Anarchy would be, seeing as how it's simply is essentially a retelling of Hamlet, right?
Yeah.
It would just be an epilogue, really, but still it would be like, I agree. I think that would be a good movie. We all liked the characters enough that people are going to want to know what's happened to them years later.
Right.
I mean, obviously Jackson.
The ones that survived, obviously.
Yeah.
All like 3 of them.
Yeah, all like 3 of them. All like 3 of them.
Much like Hamlet.
Very much like Hamlet. Yeah, that's a good one. And I'm glad you had a TV show on yours, because the TV shows that I kept coming up with are ones we've already reviewed.
Of course.
I was like, oh, Frasier. every team
That's 70 show.
soiree.
No, dang it, no.
Every team soiree
Yeah.
they've had, and like, yes, please pour me a sherry.
Scrubs would have been funny just because the party they talk about in it never actually happened on scene.
Oh, okay.
But they reference Laverne's above ground pool party like a 1,000 times in that show. They never actually show what it was or explain. They just act like it's the craziest party
that, they've
that
ever
anyone's
had.
ever been to. And you're
Nice.
just like, what happened?
Yeah. So I really searched my mind. I wanted to put TV show on here.
Yeah, same.
And Sons of Anarchy didn't even occur to me. That's a great pick, Luke. That's awesome. Definitely a great show. Right. Yeah. So it was interesting. Every TV show that came to mind was one that we've already done before. So we just need to watch more TV shows. I guess so. Yeah. I'm, is it, do I keep rewatching Frasier because I like it or because I expect things to change?
I do think there is something to be said about like comfortable nostalgia. Yeah, for sure. Type shows.
Well, and then not only that, but with how much time I spend working in front of a computer anyways, just having something on that I don't have to pay attention to, that I know every line of 11 seasons. You are
preaching to the choir on that one.
It's nice. Yeah. It's nice. It's familiarity, Okay, well, great. So this brings us around to your last one.
My last one.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So my last one is going to be my last skip to the point review is Scream from 1996. The party at Sydney's house is some of the greatest uses of foreshadowing I've seen in a 90s horror film ever. It also keeps you in suspense the entire time, knowing to look for all of the tropes that they've already established that they have definitely been paying an homage to. If not for the death by door flap, I would say that the sequence was probably perfect.
Yeah, that is weird. It's like, so she'd have a broken hip, right? And that's it.
Yeah, it's just like, wait, like,
yeah.
That thing would have like stopped.
Yeah,
like,
right.
There's no way it would have lifted her.
Yeah, I go set my foot on the garage door and it stops.
Yeah. I mean, Rose McGowan isn't huge, but still, like,
yeah, but she's not so tiny either. It's not like a gerbil got caught in the door.
I think they were just really going for creative kill, and I think someone got a little too overexcited.
Right. And they're like, it is a movie.
Yeah,
we can do what we want. No, that's a good pick, man. I don't know why I didn't think of horror movies, but just know
they all have parties in them.
They do all have parties in them that all end tragically. There's that. Maybe that's why. Maybe I was just thinking so feel good party, and I was like, I don't think I'd want to go to a party that ended in murder. So.
I didn't think, and other horror movies came across my mind, but none of them were like, I thought the party was great, because usually the party is just kind of like just establishing dumb high schoolers that are about to get killed, right? Like there's not really a lot to it.
Right. Yeah. But, who's going to die first because they're going to go upstairs to a empty bedroom to have sex. Yeah, exactly. Nice. All right. Well, then my last one is one that I'm pretty darn sure we've talked about before. Sideways from 2004. Have I not brought that up?
If you did, it was a long time ago, and I don't remember, but
I kind of checked my list. I think I might.
I keep meaning to make a list of our reviews, and I just haven't done it.
I have a list of them. I just every single time I look through, I'm like, oh, I could have swore I've written that one, because I was thinking I was either trying to save this one for like a wine episode.
Right. I was wondering if maybe if we had an alcohol episode. I don't remember.
Yeah. Or we talked about doing an alcohol episode where we just like get smashed drunk on the podcast.
Oh yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. But if you want to do that with us, Luke, you can always come back and we'll have a party. But with this one, I also considered like maybe I'd put it on the 420 special that we had last year.
Maybe,
but
that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, but they smoke bud in
I guess that's true.
In the film.
Yeah,
it's not prominent, but they do in one of the parties, and specifically in the party scene that I'm referencing. So, for those of you who don't know, Sideways from 2004 was Thomas Hayden Church and Paul Giamatti on a weekend soiree in wine country, fighting depression, complacency, and the power of boners. I really connect to this movie because it's both about a writer, someone who loves Pinot, and naturally the scene in it was my kind of party. They're literally sitting around. I mean, it brought me back to my childhood, like when I was a kid and my mom would have her friends over to like hang out. They would just be sitting around drinking and smoking, but I would be sneaking out of my bedroom to like go into the living room to have an excuse to hang out with the adults. Right. And there's a part
what kid
in
hasn't
there,
done that?
Yeah, and there's a part in there where where the daughter comes out during that whole thing while they're smoking, and like, she's trying to billow the smoke down to the ground, like to make it look like they're not all smoking weed. And it's like, come on, that kid knows what you're doing. That kid knows they can smell what you're doing. But yeah, so that was definitely one of my favorite party scenes in movies. And again, I was hesitant because I thought that I had done it before, but apparently it just made my list so many times and not been put in the show.
I think as long as you have a good enough reason to redo one, because I'm sure we've done Clue before.
You have, yes.
Yeah. And so I think it's okay if you've done it before.
We've also done Little Shop of Horrors
Little
a couple
Shop
of
of Horrors
times.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple of, and Frasier.
Every time we do a TV show one, you do Frasier.
Frasier or Cheers ends up on there no matter what. Yeah.
I do MASH a lot though, to be fair.
MASH. Well, yeah, MASH is iconic though too. To be fair, MASH is very iconic. Okay, we are still recording. Cool. Okay, cool. Nice. Right, and so with that pretty much wraps up our list.
Did you do 5? Did you do 5 as well?
You did your 5th, right?
I think I did, man.
Sons of Anarchy.
Make your plea for number 5, right?
Well, I filled in 5, but I'll make my plea again. Thank you for that opportunity. Tailgating. We need more tailgating in movies and TV shows. People get out there. They have party scenes anyways. Why not do it outside around a truck with a keg of beer and some coolers with stuff, cornhole bags flying and all that good stuff? You want to see it. You do it all the time. Why don't we put it in movies? I don't know. Somebody help me with that.
Right. Yeah. That's part of what we want to talk about, though, too. Right.
We are going to write a movie that's just tailgating, right?
Just
you and me.
Well, so this was the interesting. So me and Luke had a conversation. The way that we had connected in the first place was I heard Luke on the Side Hustle show, which is Nick Loper's podcast, very popular. And when Luke had mentioned that he wanted some tailgating, like movies or TV show, that he's been trying to get one going for years, I was like, well, who better to help than someone who just like wants to make TV shows and movies, no matter what it is,
right? So
long as we're working. And what I kept picturing, Luke, when I was thinking about the tailgating TV show before we had talked, before we had talked about it. What I was thinking about, I kept picturing essentially Titus. But all happening in a parking lot. Are you familiar with Titus?
You're the only person other than me that's seen that show, I think.
Yeah, I have not seen or heard of that show before.
All right. Well, Titus is based on what's his first name?
Christopher Titus.
It's Christopher. Okay, it was Christopher Titus. I know a lot of people with the last name Titus, so I very easily mix up the first name. It
makes sense.
Yeah, like my adoptive father, Jerry Titus from Kokomo, was involved with the Libertarian Party for a long time, and then everyone in his family has the last name Titus. So yeah, I was like Christopher Titus. Christopher Titus is a stand-up comic, and just like most stand-up comics from the 90s and 2000s, they were gifted their own sitcom based on their comedy,
their routine.
Based on their routine. And so, like Home Improvement was a popular one from the 90s. Titus was not. It was not.
I think it only lasted 2 or 3 years, maybe.
It was like, I think it was like 2. I think
it wasn't
3
longer
seasons,
it wasn't longer than 3.
The third one was like a short season, because they were like, you have 12 episodes.
It was also
to finish.
Fox, I think.
I think it was Fox.
So naturally.
But I keep picturing like the visual sitcom style of that, right? And then from there, basically all we have to figure out for a show like that's sitcom-ish is what the overall arching thing is. Like, is it that it's about a family who owns a stadium, and like all of the family members try to do something specific to that stadium, so you've got the grandparents run maintenance or whatever on the stadium, and the mother's daughters is, I don't know, sweeping up or whatever after games, and you've got the father running the concession stand where they do like specialty brisket and hot dogs and stuff like that. And it becomes about the with sitcoms, it's always a traditional sort of setup, right? Sort of formulaic, where there's a problem presented at the beginning of it, whether it's an event, whether, the president is coming to the stadium, some ridiculousness like that. But I could see that really working it would just be one of those, because sitcoms are so difficult to, I don't know, I guess predict which ones will be successful.
Right.
It's just like, what's the angle?
So much
for
of it is
that?
based just on what audience members like actor wise, you know? So,
Right. So then what's the angle? I mean, other than just, it'd have to be absolutely amazing writing. Otherwise, what's the angle to get people to continually watch it that will stretch it for more than one season? Right. Which is why I think the other part of the Tailgating Idea TV show, where it's more like sports commentary, where it's also product reviews, literally taking place in the, you know, parking lot of a stadium, works really well too, because then it's, I mean, you know, just like with news and sports commentary, there's sports going on. That's why we're doing it.
right.
You know, like
right.
you don't need a reason to keep it going. There's sports going on. That's reason enough. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so right now, Luke, I'm still trying to figure out, because it's in my natural inclination to want to do things with as few resources as possible.
Yeah.
But you also still want it to have the quality that brings that people want to watch it as well.
Balance. I get that.
Right.
I get
It's a
that too. I
balance.
don't have a big budget with all the stuff I do, so try to
You
use
gotta-
your own natural talent and resources to the best of your ability to make the most
Right.
of it.
Exactly. And so that's why I'd like for us to figure out how best we can do that. Because as far as, you know, getting out to Colorado to film something, that's not a big deal. More so having something specific in mind to film and put together when I'm out there is what that's the gritty details. Because I mean, it seems like with the Tailgating Challenge channel, we've always got products that we can review. Then I feel like we need someone related to sports, whether it's a coach or a player, to like interview and co-host like each episode, right? Even if they're just like trying out the products with us or giving their commentary or their thoughts on the upcoming game, that sort of thing. But yeah, that's just where my mind is at. Have you given much more thought to it since we talked?
I mean, a little bit, not super deep, because I know it's like you got to have that event, right? Because again, staging something is almost harder to get the same thing. Like that would take a ton of resources versus just like we talked about with the
Right.
program movie, where they're like, "Hey, we already have the entire stadium full. Let's just leverage it while we
Turn
have
on the
everybody here."
cameras.
Yeah. For it too. So yeah, getting it would have to be like, if you're thinking like a coach or a player, like if you're talking about it for like say Colorado State or something, like that, probably it would have to be a former, right? Because they're going to be geared up
Right.
for the game. They're not going to be able
Yeah.
to come out like and do any of the tailgating stuff. But if it was like a former one, or even if it was like a coach for a different team, almost is still affiliated with that particular university, or a former player that's just like, oh man, being on a tailgating show or something be got like kind of fun, just to have as like it'd be really cool, like if it went around to like different schools and were able to leverage it, so you could get like, you know, a taste of the town, checking out what's going on there, having a former player or coach or somebody affiliated with the university as being kind of like the co-host of the week. They could just like really, and that would get more eyeballs on it too, because you're getting the fan base, right? The fan base for that particular university, and even potentially for the opposing team as well, because they may want to say, "Oh, I've tailgated for that game. I want to check that out," and trying to leverage some of those alumni bases with that too. If you have somebody that was with the university, and that could help, like the university may be on more board to like share or support it too. Again, there's never any guarantees with that, and line all those pieces up and getting like a former coach or player like for each one you do is easier said than done, as to like what they would want, or even if respond to you at all. But I like your thought with that particular aspect.
Yeah. Well, and I also had the it had just popped into my mind. Part of what I think would also attract people to watch the tailgating show is if during the tailgating show we have a tailgating party occurring. You know what I mean? Like one that's specifically hosted by the tailgating show, right? Where it would somewhat mimic a live audience, because with directional mics, it's not like the crowd noise is going to be an issue.
Right.
But yeah, so I like that idea. So, much like Side Hustle show, they're more so in expanding how to get a side hustle started, the ins and outs of it, and the different challenges you face when you're trying to build a brand or a side hustle. I do similar things with the consulting, but I like to think of myself more as a creative problem solving specialist, where it doesn't really apply to any one thing. Where over the past 12 years that I've been doing my YouTube channel, I feel like we've probably done a lot of the same research, Luke, when it comes to building a YouTube, where it comes to both the length of videos and the quality, plus titles and thumbnails and all of the really basic things that YouTubers gather. The issue that I face personally with my YouTube is that it is all over the place. I don't have a niche. My niche is no niche at all. It's arts, entertainment, and education, which is a broad spectrum. Anything can fall under it. So, which is why part of what we're kind of getting going with the Get to the Point Review podcast is where I try to help people with a niche expand and sort of break down some of the barriers or the challenges that they have trying to grow their channel. So with that said, what would you say your number one challenge in growing your channel is?
Number one challenge on YouTube, I still think is just that, that I'll always go back to the algorithm, and that's for all social media. I mean, it's like, God, what you were doing a couple of years ago, I feel like I'm doing is push, because it reduces the organic reach, right?
Yes.
So the organic reach has been severely depleted across every social media platform that there is, even putting up. And so it forces me and others to understand it better, of how we can produce better content and the things that will matter, right, for us. So I double down on editing and content and trying to listen to what people were saying for it. But it's still like, wow, it's just that organic reach. So unless you're just finding something that's trending, and my thing is too, it's I'm not always just going to be everyone, we all got to put out the same thing right now because this is that one thing that's trending. I'm still going to do the things that are the things I'm passionate about, the products that I feel are good. With it, some of them become trending, some of them don't with it. So I think that's one of the hardest parts of just continuing to help people see it, because in addition to the algorithms across the board, algorithms also impact, when you're putting a YouTube link on Facebook's like, you're not giving the organic, we want the video on ours, we're not going to show it to as many people, we put the YouTube link. So then it's a perpetual thing, unless you want to start throwing a lot of money at it to help then boost it up, but you got to feed the monster. So I don't know if that answers your question, because I feel like I'm rambling right now.
No, it does. Well,
that's the thing. There's a lot to have to try to overcome. Right?
When we talk about the algorithm, there is only one thing to do, and that is ramble about
right.
It. That's because yes.
It just feels like it just makes it more and more impossible for
and
an individual to start something.
Yeah, well, and especially when so much of YouTube right now is being rewarded for bad content.
Yes.
In the sense of that people are watching things because they're so bad you have to watch. I can't believe this is content. Those views still count though. And the 4 million views that this awful video got still resulted in $8,000 in ad revenue for the creator, who now doubles down and creates more crappy content, which then buries content with substance.
And then you have a world full of Tom Greens.
Yeah. Then you have a world full of Tom Greens. Yeah, exactly. Okay, interesting. Yeah. So something that doesn't necessarily fix the algorithm problem that we all face, but that I had an idea about when I was listening to the podcast, actually. So where does the majority of your monetization come from with the tailgating challenge?
I was going to be brand sponsorships all day.
brand sponsorships.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
direct brand sponsorships for content, giveaway promotions, and stuff like that. Of having negotiated things that we do out either on a one-time, monthly, or annual basis,
Nice.
and then
And so-
supplemented like with YouTube, Amazon, and Google ad revenue.
Gotcha. So now, do you have one of the ways that creators can always, I guess, bring in money that's not sponsorship and brand deals, it would be an electronic or digital product. Have you considered a tailgating book?
Considered, yes, with the amount of time I think it would take to do, and it's not something I'm as passionate about. I have not done that. I know, like, my wife and her side of the family do a lot of publishing with books because they write, they're in education, and work with that. So they probably would have some of that stuff to help with if I ever decided to do that. But it's like with balancing a demanding corporate job, and still doing all these pieces, because I feel like I am better, like, throw the camera on live, right? And just like, let's get it, right? And that's something that I'm good at. It can do it on the fly. And so that's what, when I was talking to Nick after we did our interview, because I was like, should I start a podcast? So like, because of like, am I missing? Because I feel like I'm trying to like spread, because we know these algorithms, like one channel could basically just go, whoa, if they pull the lever on one thing. And so try to diversify as much as possible.
Right.
And he told me, and this, I still might do it one day, but he's like, look, why? He's like, with the amount of being a side hustle, doing everything that you're doing and some of the stuff that you're good at, double down on that versus continuing to like stretch yourself even thinner than what you're already doing. So I was like, okay. So that's just not saying it's right or wrong, but that's just some of the reason why I haven't done like what you all are doing in regards to like the podcasting aspect.
Right. Yeah. And that's, I mean, it is a great piece of advice, because it, especially with us being YouTubers the way we are, we already know that great content is king. So improving our content is always where our minds are 90% of the time anyways.
Right.
It's just making our content better. Okay. And so with that, when it comes to the content, so you said you don't have an editor, right?
No, I do everything. I was just editing a new video with the shotgun, a new way to shotgun your beers in an actual gun. So we did that one yesterday. So I was doing some of the edits, and I go back, I edit it, and then I look to see, like, is there like a little clip or something I need to get like a super close up of with a light that I can impose over the top. And so that's what I'm going to do here after this, to get a couple of those things that jumped out. So yeah, I know the editing's not Hollywood, but it's way better than it was in the past.
That's good.
I can dig it. Well, I think I had mentioned this when we were on the phone the first time. If you need help with editing, I'd be more than happy to edit for you. Even if it's 1 out of every 5 videos that you do, if you need help editing, I can definitely help with that. Also, it's awesome that your wife deals with publishing already. And the reason why I brought that up in the first place when it came to the tailgating book is because I know that with a corporate job plus running the YouTube, that you don't have time to do it. So have you considered a ghostwriter?
I have not, and so that's where I get into, like, with my thoughts of, I'm all about trying to be real, right? And so, like, to me, like, trying to build a genuine, authentic experience with the fans, just like for all the reviews. A lot of people tell me I'm stupid for it, but like, I do the reviews for free. A lot of time goes into it, right? For it, but it's that way because, again, if I gave you $500 or something to make a video and you're gonna be a puppet, I don't want to be a puppet, right? That's one of the reasons. I was like, I feel like long term that'll pay off. Short term, maybe not, in regards to some of the monetary aspect. And so potentially, and again, and maybe I'm not looking at it correctly, where maybe it could be something where the ghostwriter would basically take my thoughts and write it in a more professional manner. But I just don't want it to come across where it's something that's me, that's not really me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we understand that.
Yeah, and seeing that for me, and I totally understand that, especially because as dumb as people are, audiences can still tell when someone's being authentic.
Yes.
Right. And so that would come down to, for me, it comes down to how to write the book, in the sense of, is it a guide on tailgating? Is it just like, because there's a number with books, you can take it any millions of directions.
Right.
So there's like a one idea that I had was essentially like a Michelin star guide, but for tailgating products. Right. So you give it a certain number of, wouldn't be stars. We'd equate it to something else. I don't know, horseshoes or
cornhole bags.
Cornhole bags. Yeah, it'd be cornhole bags, right?
3 out of 5 cornhole bags. Yes, exactly. To rate it, that essentially people then buy the guide every few years to see what the latest and greatest in tailgating products are, right? There's also, you could do it like sort of a campy sort of guide to tailgating, like this is how you tailgate, where it's more funny, but also still a serious guide on tailgating. In the sense, it's like, well, this is proper tailgating etiquette, which I think would be comic. Like, would be comically interesting.
Yes,
like,
that would be kind of funny.
There's tailgating.
At the very least,
yes,
that'd be like a funny, like, short
etiquette.
video or something.
Yeah, that would be cool too.
Step one.
Yeah, or it could be just the official guide to tailgating, and something that goes to everything from like top products, top games, top grills, tailgating etiquette, top recipes for it, top venues for tailgating. Like, and just have like each chapter could be like something that highlights a key part of the tailgating experience.
And I will say, like, someone who listens to sports radio over the summer, well, not so much now, I work from home, but over the summers especially, they would sometimes have here in Indy, they would have what's the name of that hardware store in Indy? Sullivan's or something. I sorry, I don't remember the store, but they would have the guy on to like answer just like general questions about things. You mentioning grills made me think of them always talking about the big green egg and like how you cook stuff in that, and it's a special grill that they have over here. But so I mean, like, there's definitely a market for people willing to listen to that, because they get so many calls every time he comes in just asking him questions like that, like, hey, what's best for smoking brisket, or things like that. And it's not quite the same thing, but I think you would still get people calling in being like, hey, so what's a good what's a good like beverage of choice, or options of beverages for this, and like what's a good grill that's cost effective and still works really well for what I want for the tailgating, just things like that. I think you'd get a lot of interest in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, for the simple fact that I own like four different recipe books that are just for recipes while you're camping.
Yeah,
I guarantee there's a market for books based just on tailgating, because it's sort of it's a lost art form, like I feel like when I see people watching sports, it's usually in a bar or at home nowadays.
There's not a lot of like hanging out and camaraderie sort of thing.
Yeah, and at the same time, people are itching for excuses to get back out still, even a year after quarantine. People are still itching to find excuses.
Well, now it's too expensive to go out.
Well, yeah, because of gas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my goodness.
I had to take out a second mortgage on my drive down here.
On my drive down. Drive down. Don't we all? Oh boy, yeah. Cool. Yeah, so with the with like the ghostwriting, if a book is something you wanted to do, then what I would do is, like once every 2 weeks, we would have a conversation where I'm basically just compiling notes from you and slowly organizing it into chapters, as we got that together. And then I wanted to ask you, so you already know, obviously, that when we post YouTube links on Facebook, that they get shoved down in the algorithm, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because it takes them. So and because YouTube is my primary platform, I haven't looked. Do you repost your videos, upload them directly to Facebook?
You can put the link on there. So, because I know like you could, I mean, obviously YouTube's way better monetized than I think
Yes.
Facebook is. I hear they're trying to do something, but like at this point, like that's why I'm like, I don't mind putting the organic video on there for some of the stuff. Usually I'll put the organic video on there if I'm doing a promotion with the company that we got something to go in. So make sure we try to maximize the reach for that. But yeah, you could drop the YouTube link in there. It'll embed it, right? You can backspace over the link and it just has the little like thumbnail and stuff at the bottom, but we know it's going to get hammered on the
You're gonna get
on the
13
algorithm.
views.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like, you know, a few hundred people see it versus thousands of people seeing it if you do the other way.
Right.
Right. I know that with Facebook rules, as far as for monetization as well, that it has to be over 3 minutes, right, for Facebook to essentially place ads into your video and to allow you to collect ad revenue. So you've only done that for certain videos where you've uploaded it directly to Facebook.
Ask the question one more time to make sure I'm tracking.
Have you uploaded videos that you would normally upload to the Tailgating Challenge YouTube? Have you uploaded those directly to Facebook?
Oh, sometimes, yeah. I mean, because again, you can do it a variety of different ways. So I try to, whenever I do one, is put it out across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube to get it out there. And then like sometimes like coming back to it, also embedded in the blog. So I write the blog articles for everything too, and have that YouTube video embedded in there. But sometimes come back like. Like with, for example, one of the companies I work with makes a giant kingpin chair. It's a huge chair. Your legs dangle off the edge of the chair because it's so big. It's got 6 cup holders on there. And so after last week, I completed a world record for longest backwards cornhole toss, and I had my king outfit on, and I ran and jumped into the chair, just like, you know, that king feeling after hitting the shot. And so I just put that video on just as a Facebook reel and an Instagram reel, just to continue to, you know, support that company and get it out there as well too. But like with like the shot fun shotgun that I'm doing, like when I finish that this week, I'll probably put the YouTube link on Facebook, knowing it's not going to get as many, but hey, just trying to just like get it across some things to get a few people to see it up front. And if the company wants to do something else, then I'll have some of the content I can upload as like organic stuff to it too.
Yeah, and the reason why, like, even though we know that when we post it on Facebook, essentially no one's going to see it. When we do that, the reason why I still do that with pretty much everything is because for people who Facebook is their platform, if they then go to look up your brand, that you are still active, whether that gets views or not. You are still posting videos all the time, and you take your brand seriously. You're on top of things. That's awesome. Okay, cool.
And I heard it still helps with the YouTube algorithm too. Like if you're embedding their link and other things, I'm sure they want it to be that way, because they're like, oh yeah, go harvest some of these other social media platforms on there, and we'll. Again, I don't know for sure. I'd love to have. I got an email from these video short creator people over there. They're at VideoCon. They're going to like break down the algorithm, where if you fly out there and attend VideoCon or whatever, and I'm not going to be able to make it out there, but
$3,000.
Right. So I was like, it'd be cool to hear some more, but it's like by the time they tell you that, it'll change again too. So you just don't know exactly.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, because the biggest change for us as YouTube creators was at the beginning of 2018, right, when they had removed monetization for anyone under 1,000 watch hours, or was it under 4,000 watch hours? Under 1,000 subscribers.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
So I had to build back up then, because I was like, that's when I doubled back down on YouTube and trying to focus to get people over there to get that minimum criteria to try to be able to get just that little piece of the pie, right?
Right. And do you have like a intro video on your videos?
I don't. I just got an outro video made from one of my buddies that does some digital creation that's way above me with that, where it has like me riding in on a cooler at the very end, and got the audience cheering, and it like flips tailgating challenge and the social things at the bottom. So I got that. But yeah, I know a lot where it's like it kind of leads like a 15-second intro, and then it's like, and then let's see how this product does in the next tailgating challenge. And like, and make it might flash some stuff. So I may do that in the future but just haven't done it at this point.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, I'm just trying to. Just thinking of how ways that I can help Luke. Um, yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Appreciate you all inviting me on the show and just like this creative thinking, because I know there's so many people out there, just like all three of us, that are like just continuing to try to figure out the hustle, right, and how to get there. And like what you said a minute ago, like with, just for lack of a better word, the shit, sometimes it gets all these views and then it gets rewarded, and then
think that's
other
a
people
perfect
see
word.
that and then they want to do it. And so then it muddies the waters to the point of like, I watch some of this stuff, I'm like, it's crap. Or they lead you on and then there's nothing. Right. And then I'm just like, how did this get 1 million views? And a video that's like really good gets a couple thousand views.
They've got good clickbait titles.
Yeah.
Right. It's disheartening for those of us that are passionate about our content. Yeah, because you just can't. I can't picture those people being passionate about anything except for the money that they're getting from craft.
The money and the views, and they're not embedded into it. Like I'm thinking every day, I work every day on it, versus people probably just out there throw a few random things up, and there's still probably some that are very good at what they do, but I think there's a lot that just they're not serious about their brand. They're trying to get a couple bucks and ride the social media wave while it's rocking.
Right. It's a quick, rich scheme for them rather than a passion.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I still definitely want to help you get a tailgating show put together, even if we are just like literally filming some sort of concept pilot.
Yeah, I mean, I think a pilot's first step, right? That's what I was thinking. I went on a hike yesterday, and I was thinking, I had another random idea, but it's just like, hey, just like have a pilot. It can be a short pilot. It can just be something to see, like, is there interest or feedback, right, in regards to how to beef it up to make it something that people want. And since I have a decent following, like I could get people to, I could probably do like some give it, hey, check this video out, and like drop comments of what you like, what you want to see in it, and stuff like that, to get like a lot of like organic like feedback on that too. Other thing, totally random. You might not have any thoughts on this, but I was like, a tailgating cartoon.
No, that's when I pictured Titus. I pictured it being. I also pictured it was like if the live action sitcom doesn't work, I picture it being like Big Mouth.
Yeah.
Is that the Bill Burr show, or is that is for Family? I can't remember. But the animation style, like not too far from Family Guy type animation style. I can picture it that way too. And what's interesting is that when I think of animation, I go, oh well, that would be cheaper, right? But it's not. Animators are so much more expensive.
Yeah, that's why I don't know. And I figure there's a lot of work that goes into that. Right. I don't either. So I was like, it'd be interesting, and tailgating tunes, right, or something like that. For
like, well, I mean, even if it was just like, I don't know, like with a show like that, I picture it being like the name of the show being like the last name of the family, and but just everything they do is at a stadium, right? It's the same thing like with the live action, but more far fetched because it's cartoon,
right?
You know, with more Family Guy-ish humor. Whereas the live action version that I'm picturing is a mix between any sitcom and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, just because of the messed up people that you can encounter. Right. You know, so yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, so I think that even if when we put this together, if it was, even if we end up only having like between 8 and 12 minutes of content for a concept for the pilot, and then still just have ideas for how to fill it out when the resources are there, would be great. And then colleges and universities are so much more approachable than NFL.
Oh, 100%. It's still not easy, but NFL is kind of, don't even worry about that.
No, yeah, you're right. It's like, no,
it might even be funnier if it was like a small division college as opposed to, you know, like some big, I don't know the different names of divisions in college football, but
like a AA team or something.
Yeah.
And for me, then it goes from actual tailgating show to like a parody of a tailgating show instead, where it, like I picture us making a blend between sports commentary and like party exploration, essentially, right? Like party atmosphere exploration and sports commentary, like mixing the two, while incorporating the product reviews as what we are using to explore the tailgating community, essentially. Whereas the other one makes me think more of like Schitt's Creek, you know, where it's like,
I think part of it is like in my head, we keep talking about this and I keep thinking about that show, The League.
Okay.
And that's like where my head's going. And so maybe that's just my fault, but
It's a great show though.
yeah.
I haven't watched it yet. Is that one a football show?
Fantasy football.
Yeah, they play fantasy football.
Oh,
yeah, it's a parody of.
It's a parody.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've got to watch that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that the league was about fantasy football. That's awesome. Okay, so I remember when I was listening to your episode of the Side Hustle Show, and you had mentioned the world record. So you did set that world record.
Yep. Yes. Last Saturday. It's not yesterday. Saturday before. Got it done. Got it on camera. So editing all that up and then getting all the evidence over to Guinness so that they can review it to hopefully make it an official Guinness World Record. Unofficial world record right now.
Right, unofficial world record right now. Right now, though.
I think we have everything we need though to make it that. So all the requirements were checked, and we got a video. We had drone flying over the top, watching it from above. So I feel like we got every angle. So if anybody wanted to question it, it's like we got a clip. I feel like that can refute any naysayers out there.
Yeah, that's perfect. So then, what did the? Can you disclose what the distance ended up being?
36 feet, 7 inches.
Wow.
And this was successfully into the hole.
As an airmail shot, so it just like it didn't even slide on the board; it went right in there. Ooh, so it took.
Congratulations, that's impressive.
Yeah, it was. It was crazy because there's all these, because newspaper did a front page story, which I know newspapers are some old media, but they did a front page story the day before.
Still cool. Yeah.
It's still definitely cool. And so like just some random people just like showed up because like the city gave me a spot in the center of downtown to do it. And so it's like you got all these like random people like staring at me like on camera and everything. Like I'm fine because I can just like, because we're doing shtick, we're talking about stuff coming off the top, being witty, engaging with people. But like when you have to perform a feat right in front of people, that's a little bit different. So I respect the athletes like way more after doing that, even with just a small crowd. For it now, because it took a little over 10 minutes because there was a reporter there. I didn't even know like he was doing a story on it. They sent me the story afterwards. It was very honest, right? Because there were some of the shots that were crap, right? Because I was nervous, and so like I never shot in that particular place before, and so I definitely missed. And every miss started to weigh on the head, right? Because you're getting in your own head, like,
am I never going to make it?
Am I going to make it? Are people judging me right now? They think like, why is this dude even like trying this? Because he doesn't have any skills at all. And so it felt like forever. It was a little over 10 minutes, 74 throw, perfect shot right into the hole. Surveyor was right there to mark exactly where it was. And then they did the measurements for it. And then we had some fun and celebrated, and it was the longest 10 minutes of my life.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm impressed your arm strength held up.
I'm glad it didn't go longer. I've done way more. I've done way more out in the driveway, like practicing for it, and a lot further too, just in case. But
I was gonna say you're like the Stephen Curry of cornhole tossing. Is that?
I don't know about that. I'm sure there's some. I mean, it's not. It's
one
of
those
these
videos of him like shooting the basketball from like in the bleachers and.
Yeah, he's really. I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else or anything like that at all. It's just because most people like there could be some of the people that do it, but it's like going through all the red tape to make it official. Most people are just to be like, nah, I'm not hiring a surveyor. I'm not having a cornhole association fly in, hiring a videographer, getting a drone up there.
Like,
I think
some people think it's like just a matter of like someone with their cell phone recording you doing something.
Yeah.
And it's just not. It's just not like there's
a lot more to it.
Mhm.
Or you can hire Guinness, right? Guinness, like they told me they're like 10 or 15 grand. They'll just show up and I don't have to do all the evidence.
Nope.
I'm like, I don't really want to pay. I'd rather go through, I'd rather be way
No.
harder on myself for a little while to get it done. It'd been cool, right? To have a
Mhm.
Guinness person there to give you the award and everything right away.
Right.
But again, as we talked about resources and budget, I was like,
How
I'm
do I
just
get
gonna have to
that
hustle a little
job?
bit harder.
Yeah.
How do I become a
Right?
judge for Guinness?
Yeah. They'll pay us, a couple $1,000 to come out and hand an award to somebody that finishes a feat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be terrible. And then, I mean, because you're always going to be the good guy most of the time, right? You just get to celebrate with people and give them
Right.
awards and fly out and go see different places.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Nice. Very cool. Okay. So then you said 74 throws?
74th throw again for, I wasn't counting, but somebody was. That's what they told me. So I'm trusting that they got that all in there. So yeah.
And
74
so
throws.
74 throws only took you 10 minutes.
Yep. I had one of my friends and she was grabbing the bags and bringing them back. So, or clearing, because there's a bag on the board. I had it cleared off each time. So there was never like any interference or anything that if it did go in, that it could be like, type of situation. So I had somebody bringing the bags back versus me walking down and grabbing them every time. So that did help the speed a little bit.
Heck yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Well, congratulations.
Man.
Yeah.
I appreciate
I can't
it.
wait till that's
Appreciate it.
official. So when you did this and it was in, you said they cleared out a spot for you in downtown. Did you see a surge in subscribers on the YouTube?
No, I mean, I won't say a surgeon. It's hard to tell sometimes because I'm always like I'm almost up to 1,000 videos now on YouTube. And it's just like products sometimes just like they get a push or something. All of a sudden you get a spike, right? Just out of the blue. Like I'm not promoting the video, but it's out there. And then like Shark Tank runs another episode and one of those products is on there and people flock to it. So it's like, there's a lot of things, but I didn't see anything that made me be like, holy crap, there's like a ton more people doing this. But I mean, but it could be a trickle, like in regards to like there could have been some people on Facebook, some on TikTok, some on Instagram, some on YouTube, because that's their platform of choice.
Right.
You'll have to pay attention once it becomes official and again see if that helps.
Yeah, that's the part too that could be cool, especially if it makes like into the book, right, or something that they sell each year. Yeah, I don't know how you get that. I don't know if you have to pay to be in there. I don't think you do, because there's some people in there that are like, I'm sure they're not paying because they don't have any like interest, right? And because I'm doing it part of like personal achievement, but also it's like brand resume building too.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, it just builds your credibility and expertise in tailgating. It's like, I even have a tailgating world record.
I'm a cornhole professional
for a tailgating game. Yeah,
go to the cornhole Olympics.
There probably will be something like that. I mean, these cornhole tournaments are just blowing up right now.
Right.
I wouldn't look it up on Pornhub. But,
no.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that.
Why?
No. Why not? No, that's great. That's awesome. So then, with the I wonder how the book works as well when it comes to, I mean, because I would assume that just when you set the world record and they come out with the new one, that they would include all the like all the world records, right?
Because they're just like recording the data, right?
Yeah, I mean, and not only that, but it's the Guinness Book of World Records. If you leave world records out, it's not a complete book anymore,
right?
Well, I guess my thought is there's probably a digital one, right? And then there's a hard copy tangible one. So would you make, because I bought when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, like I bought the one that like from last year, that's like the 2022 edition for it. So I was like, it'd be really cool to be like in like a tangible copy that people are like getting and everything too. So I'd be happy. Just get it certified. I'm not going to be too greedy.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. Yeah, very cool. All right. Well, Luke, unless you have any further questions for us, we roll out the red carpet for you, and you can let the audience know where they can find you and what else you have coming up in the roster.
Yeah, so I appreciate being on here. There's definitely some movies now I want to go back and watch after our conversation today. But for those that are interested in tailgating products, tailgating gear, hearing about it, seeing about it in a very honest and authentic fashion, website www.tailgatingchallenge.com. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and I think I even have Pinterest. Probably don't do enough with Pinterest out there, but it is out there. We got the Another world records is what I'm looking at right now. I was practicing a new one last night and actually hit it for there. So we got that, and we also have another one that's going to be different. I'm gonna need some help on it too. So teaser. I know I can't get into it too much just yet. And then of course, National Tailgating Day is the first Saturday of September. So September 3rd, National Tailgating Day will be going down, and that's when all the action of college football and the NFL that following week. So we're excited for tailgating. Come give us a follow, and we appreciate everyone in advance for listening to the show and supporting everyone on the show right now.
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Luke. Yeah, and so we'll make sure to include links to all of your social media in the show notes. Absolutely, as well as in the video version once that's got together. And and thank you very much, Luke. Yeah, we will continue our dialogue about the tailgating show. I really want to do that. I also I guess I should have brought this up earlier. I had an idea about the tailgating show. That the literal table that like we're sitting at, that you guys are sitting at to discuss tailgating, should be a tailgate. Like literally getting a tailgate from a truck. In a junkyard and then making it a table. Get us a
That'd be cool.
Yeah, where we get us a welder and weld some table legs on the bottom of that sucker. And then I keep picturing the I want to say epoxy resin. That's probably not the right term for it. I work in film, not in construction. But it's like the clear coat. It's like a clear
yeah, it's the epoxy stuff. I think you're on point with that.
Yeah, and that's what fill in essentially the grooves in the tailgate to make it a flat surface.
Right. Yeah.
So you can still tell it's a tailgate, but also it's a nice flat table. It would look really oddly sophisticated.
Yeah.
for being
that's
high class hick.
High class. Well, in other words, Fishers, Indiana.
And I like that idea because I have a tailgating bench like outside here, so it's like the back is a tailgate, and I even had like brake lights built into it, so it looks like it's actually like brake lights on there too that's lit up at nighttime. But I haven't, I guess, thought of the table aspect before, because you could have the table sitting around maybe in some tailgating chairs or something, like maybe a sponsored chair or something like that to help with that, and then have like a truck in the background with the tailgate dropped and some of the stuff set up for that aesthetic.
Exactly. And that's pretty much exactly how I picture it, with the, where either the backdrop behind the trucks that have the tailgates open with the products on them would either be the stadium that's you see towering over, or a crowd of like people, essentially, you know what I mean, that you could just kind of see moving in the background.
Right.
But yeah, I can pick. So at least I feel like our vision is in the same place. That's a good place to start. That's a really good place to start.
And it just like it's interesting and exciting for me, because it's something that like multiple people have talked about it. And as I told you on the phone the other day, it's like really would be cool to like whether it's on Amazon or Netflix or television. I don't know how to get it on there. I haven't done the research on that. So I feel like first part is like, as you talked about, like leveraging people that work in that space more, like focus on your craft, do all those things for it. And then if get somebody else that has that skill in that particular craft to help with that, like that's how you get those dots to connect.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to do here. I do video and videography. I produce and direct television shows. You want to do a television show and host it, and you already have all of the content and means for us to put that together. We just need to put the two things in the same place. And it sounds like we'll have, and that's another thing. It's working in film for the past like 12 years. Yeah, you find a lot of people who want to talk about doing stuff. The reason why I've had a YouTube channel for 12 years that has, close to 500 videos is because rather than talk, I just gonna do it. Yeah, we're just gonna, do it.
I'm about that action. I get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that again, another reason why when I was listening to you on Side Hustle Show, I was like, gosh, man, this guy is in the same place I am with about 10,000 more subscribers. As far as just like, because we've been both on YouTube for 10 plus years, just at the grind, never stopped, and it's admirable, especially for someone who knows what that takes, what sort of dedication that takes.
Right.
We post videos every week, and it gets tens of views.
Yeah.
And we're
tens and tens of views.
Sometimes it hit 50. Sometimes.
Yeah.
We've broken triple digits a couple times.
Right. Yeah. It was a few times. Yeah. Well, it depends on the video too.
Yeah.
I mean, because we've had ones just like on your channel
we should talk more TV shows if we want more views.
Is that which one?
That was the Wheel of Time.
Oh,
reaction.
Gosh. Oh, gosh. Yeah. We tore apart a TV show that people were excited about, and that one we got a lot of hate for it, but we got a lot of views.
Well, that's the thing. It's like
They
just
can't
like
take it
garbage. If it's controversial, it'll get views too, right?
Right.
Yeah. And that's another thing. That's another place where we struggle too, as far as like staying on top of trends, because we'd rather do what we're passionate about.
Right.
And a lot of times too, when a trend occurs, doesn't mean that me and him can get together right away to film something about it. If it's weeks later, then we're still behind the curve with how quick things move in social media.
Right.
So, yeah.
I feel you.
Right.
I feel you. So keep the hustle going, gentlemen. That's what we all
Always.
gotta
That's always the
do.
hustle.
Yep.
Always. And listening to Nick Loper is very motivational to do so. Every single time, every episode, we're hearing about a new hustle and side hustle that is successful, and that always drives me to continue pushing at mine. So, all right. Well, Luke, thank you very much for being on the Get to the Point Review podcast. And
it was very nice to meet you.
Yeah, and
hey, you all as well.
Today is the one day we didn't have plugs, because that's also because this is almost a 2-hour episode now.
Yeah.
At this point. so no plugs at the end. You guys don't have to hear or watch us read our cue cards. Yeah, you don't have to sit and listen to us read our cue cards this time. We've probably talked out all y'all's ears off.
Just like and subscribe on the YouTube, the Hohenheim.
That's right. And make sure you follow all of the links in the show notes below, so that you can keep connected with the Tailgating Challenge as we move forward and are breaking new records, checking out new products, and creating new content.
Yep.
So thank you guys for being part of the Get to the Point review, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Get to the point.